Hey, this is Rhonda Parker Taylor, author of Crossroads. And if you really want to learn how to level up your life, you should be listening to the Time to Shine Today podcast with my good friend, Scott Ferguson. Let's level it up.
Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. It is Scott Ferguson, and I had a fantastic conversation with an outstanding author, Miss Rhonda Parker Taylor. She authored a book called Crossroads, which I've read, and it's a really fun novel. And for me, an aspiring author myself, to be able to pick the brain kind of on this from Miss Rhonda was absolutely priceless. The knowledge nuggets she drops, not only about authoring a book, but about life, about faith, about leveling up consistently, was just above reproach. I thought I was interviewing an author. I might have a few notes, right? Because authors will come on and promote the book, but man, she promoted so much more than that. And I'm so blessed that she did. I'm so immensely grateful to call her a friend and somebody that I look up to in the authoring world. So without further ado, here is the author of Crossroads, Miss Rhonda Parker Taylor. Let's level up. Squad, this is Scott Ferguson, and I have some Midwest love, some Midwest flavors, and somebody that I respect immensely in the book writing part of life. My good friend Rhonda Parker Taylor, who is an American writer, entrepreneur, and academic researcher. And what's nice is she has this really awesome sauce, highly rated book, Crossroads. But she's in her past, she was kind of an educator. And I think that a lot of this, which when we get into talking, I think that Miss Rhonda, some of this that's written in the Crossroads might have been parts of her life as well, and different pieces and characters that we were talking about off the mic. So I cannot wait to dig into it. And Rhonda, thank you so much for coming on. Please introduce yourself to the Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
Yellow.
Yellow.
I love yellow. The reason I love yellow is it's bright, it's cheery, it's the sun, it's the moon, anything that shimmers comes in some form of yellow.
I love it. And I love your energy. It's like, yeah. Squad, if you're watching on Vimeo or YouTube, I mean, she's absolutely stunning, but her energy and everything just brightens up everything. So she's already making my day better. So thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you and I'm so glad to be here, and I can't wait to dive in deep to what the discussion, not only about both of our writing experiences, but hey, there are others right now in their car. I know there is. There's a person out there that listens to you all the time.
I love it.
They're thinking, I want to write a book. Yes. And they keep saying it to themselves. And they keep saying it to themselves, and they haven't put it into action. 1 page a day, and it's done in a year.
I love that you just said that. And that great segue. What is most people's blind spots to not writing that book?
Fear of vulnerability. If they put it down on paper, somebody might not like it. So, who cares? If you put it down, if you're the only one that liked it, you did something that everybody else didn't do.
I love it. And what has 2 thumbs and it has fear of vulnerability with his book? This guy right here. That's me. So say that again. You write down something. You just made a huge point. I interrupt you. What did you say right there with you put something down that's for you? Because I definitely want to remember this.
It's for you. I wrote 5 books, put it in a closet, didn't do anything with it until my sister said, when are you going to do something with those things?
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah. And so now it's okay. Let's get serious. I got Crossroads out there.
Yeah.
You know what? It was for me first. It was my evaluation, my self-awareness, my going in and meeting these characters and what I wanted to tell about these characters. Yeah. So even though they're not me, there's a piece of me in every single one of the characters.
You're stealing my questions, Rhonda. I was wondering that. You're stealing them because I was wondering, because again, I'm going to read it on my flight to Nashville tonight. I promise you it'll be read between there and back to South Florida here. But I was wondering because there's so many different characters that we talked about off mic, okay, right, about the janitor and stuff like that. But there's also just kind of this lady Paris and reevaluating life and stuff like that. I just was wondering, how much is that actually of the woman that I'm speaking to right now?
I think they all are.
Yeah.
Because, see, when I was young, I always said, "Oh, I'm out of balance. I'm not doing everything I can. I'm not doing being my excellent person." So I would take a road trip and I'd get all the self help books together. And then by the end of this road trip to the West Coast in my car, I'd have this whole new plan for myself of what I wanted to be, accomplish, etc.
Right.
And I realized that when I did that, and then when I was writing, the first book I made everybody out of balance. And I was like,
Mm.
oh, well, there's my backstory. Things
Mm.
happen to you when you're out of balance. You lose relationships. So even though they're not me,
Mm. Right.
they are people I know. They're
Witnessed, yes, yeah.
witnesses of things that could have happened, like Billy Nichols. He's a character that's the co-defendant for the murder of a 15-year-old girl. That's how the
Mm.
story starts.
Wow. Okay.
But guess what? He has to decide, does he turn on his friend and become a rat? Or does he
Uh,
take the charge with him? How many of us have gotten in a car with someone that's been drinking and driving and shouldn't have gotten in there?
unfortunately, me.
How
Yeah.
many of us have made decisions based on not knowing who the people that are around us really are, and it could have gone terribly wrong?
Right.
So we all have, every single one of the characters that I developed could have been us at some point. How many
Sure.
of us are a workaholic
Oh
and
yeah.
work too hard at different times in our lives? Maybe we want to buy a house, so we're working extra hours, or maybe we're starting our own business. So we all get out of balance sometimes. So they could be me, it could be you, it
Yeah.
could be anybody in our inner circles.
I love that you bring up balance because to me, okay, and this is my opinion, and when I'm coaching my clients, I look at balance as kind of junk. It's like you put 10 pounds here, 10 pounds there, and then you're just even Steven, right? Where I'm a big believer in harmony, which my book that's coming out is called Harmonic Hustle, right? Where like if I love jazz. So if I go and watch a jazz band and I say, okay, God or spiritual is the drums, personal growth is the piano, family is the horns, on and down different instruments between community work, money, living environment, fun and recreation, like those different pillars of life. If one of them's out of tune, it doesn't sound good. But if we can just tune it up, and I'm not saying you have to be Beethoven or Eddie Van Halen or anybody like that, but we can bring that harmony back into our life. And that's just where I just kind of feel with if because a lot of my coaching clients, they'll come to me with one thing one week and another thing the next week, right? So if we can
Right.
just build harmony around that, and I love that. I can't wait. I literally just bought the Kindle like while you were talking right now, so I can hop on there tonight and get to reading. So the with having those 5 books that were in your closet, I believe you said your sister's like, what's going on here? Other than the fear of vulnerability, like what was it that kind of what was it? I understand the fear of vulnerability, but was there more to it than that kept him in the closet?
Oh, definitely. We can come up with all kinds of reasons
Sure.
not to walk into our own purpose.
Mm.
It could be life that's hit. Right after I wrote it, my adopted son was shot and killed. He was at work, and I had to go through that trauma of the knock on the door, the police showing up. It's almost like after I wrote the novel, some of the things that was experienced in the novel I had to go through. So I think that every time in our lives we step into the purpose of our season after we've gone through enough that we're ready. So here I put him in the closet, didn't do anything with it. Well, I had a traditional publisher that had said, let's do Crossroads. That's what motivated me for all the other ones. But then they pulled out of the deal after two years.
Mm.
Here we are working on it for 2 years, and then boom,
They
they
bail.
contract.
Wow. I'm
So
sorry to hear that.
heartbreak, pain, anything, our own lives being too busy, our own vulnerabilities, all of those things stop us
Yeah.
from leveling up.
Love it. Yeah, I mean that's so true. I have to ask you, like, and I'm not saying anything about your adopted son, which I'm very sorry to hear. My condolences. I'm so sorry. But like when you're writing these characters, And again, we know how the reticular activating system works, right? Where what we say and think about, we kind of start to bring about, right? Do you think that things have happened to you while, and the reason why I'm asking is because it's happened to me developing characters in my book, okay?
Hmm.
Do you feel that you've manifested anything, whether good or bad, through the characters that you've developed from pen to paper?
I absolutely believe that everybody, when they're in tune to their world and they're self-aware, whether you're writing, like, so my process in writing
Hmm.
is I use a medical or my research background to write my characters.
Mm.
So I, for very first thing, okay, what was their medical history? It's called a soap note, is what our doctors do. And you go through and you go through your whole history. What did you
Okay.
know? What their parents die of? What did?
Right.
And you go through that, and then I do a DSM-5 analysis, which is the mental health assessment.
Okay.
And I say, okay, this person has anxiety. This person has emphysema. So then I know what their behavior is going to be when they're in the room.
Mm.
But because then I really know my characters. And
Mm.
so, yes, I think it's part of that whole universe. As you're writing, you're also becoming more spiritually aware in yourself
Mm.
of your own thoughts, your own feelings, things that could have happened. I'll give you another example. We talked about the
Please.
importance of stories. They told me when I was going to all the classes and conferences about how do you write the best selling whodunit thriller. They said your first chapter has to reel them in and pull the person in for reading. So my first chapter starts with a young boy that's found a dead body. Well, as I was exploring that, when I was younger, there was a period of time where I was working alone and a person pulled a knife on me.
Mm.
And luckily, I nothing happened to me, but it allowed me to explore the what if. What if
Okay.
I had been killed? What if I had been dropped on the side of the road?
Mm.
What would have been the difference in the police showing up? And then
Mm.
I rode with the police and kind of did the research there. And I came up with this model of there would be people that are seasoned
Mm.
at finding the behavior and this being a normalized, and then the ones that would never that haven't experienced this, and how do men get through that or police get through it.
Right.
So when doing that, I realized I was also exploring my own maybe issues, problems, thoughts,
Sure.
you
Yeah.
know and
Challenges, right? Things.
and
Yeah.
I explored it in a safe environment, but also in a creative environment because that never happened to me. It's clearly a fiction. Everything about Crossroads is a fiction except for the sights of Indianapolis. The sites you'll
You mean?
recognize is
Yeah.
Circuit City Mall, the mayor's office, the city county building, Holiday Park, and the dead bodies found on the west side close to the Indy
Yeah.
500 behind Lafayette Square and on the railroad tracks.
That's
So
so
people can
awesome.
draw in to
Yeah.
these are people that I relate to. These are people that I know. Or maybe, hey, I would like to go see the circle one day.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
see what it's like, or
Yeah.
how Park where they brought the pillars in the
Yeah.
early 1900s from New York and
Mm.
put them up as a monument. So my goal in that is, yes, to not only manifest what's going on with me today or maybe in the past, but also it makes you manifest what your world is like,
Yes.
your outlook and it changes you.
Yeah.
Every chapter it changes you.
Yeah.
Every chapter it changes.
Yeah. That's amazing. So thank you for validating what I was thinking when I was kind of writing this. It's kind of cool that I actually have everything take place in Palm Beach, Florida, which is so much drama in Palm Beach, right? I mean, from Mar-a-Lago up to Jupiter, but every single thing, every single place, I actually went to the places and wrote the chapters at the
Mhm.
places, and it was that's cool. So I'm doing what a veteran writer does, like yourself. So I feel good now that I did
You-
that.
you're doing the right things. And the other thing that's really fun about that when you think what the story is, you've written it all out, and you think like I thought it was going to be about the injustice in the legal system, and I had it, and it's in there. That's in there.
Sure.
But then the characters took over
Mm.
because you've gotten so good at knowing how they behave, and you're like, oh, they
Oh,
wouldn't do that. They would
right.
do this. And
Right.
then they lead you to a totally different thing. And for me, it made me explore three emotions that people go through when they commit a crime: anger, fury, and envy. And we all know we are not at our best when we're showing any of this. So the characters go through this. They're thrown in this room to for the trial, and things start happening to the jurors.
Mm.
There's anger, fury, and envy that shows up. And you know what they say in Proverbs? Anger is cruel,
Mm.
fury is overwhelming, but who can stand before jealousy?
Mm.
Envy makes the bones rot.
Yes. It's 100%. What is that? Is that Proverbs 22?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny when you say Proverbs is there's 31 chapters in
Yeah.
Proverbs, and so I read a chapter a day because
Oh,
there's 30 to 31 days in a month. February, obviously, I have to double up a couple days to make sure the whole book gets read, but that's what I love. And when it's King David and Hezekiah and everybody else that's in there reading from, it's a beautiful, it's wisdom. So that's okay. So cruel, overwhelm, and rot. Envy is rot. Okay. So for the aspiring writers out there, writer's block. Okay.
mhm.
We get it, right? I mean, I've literally shoved my book and what's my computer, buried it in a file somewhere just because I'm like, oh, get out of here. What tips might you have for aspiring writers that might face writer's block?
I put a place mark on that page. It could be new information here. I need to do this. I just put something there, and either I go to another scene and then go back to it.
Hmm.
I use music to put on that puts me into the mood of it. So
Yeah.
if it's a depressive feel or
Yeah.
maybe it's the Doors, or then you're
There you
maybe
go.
it's a heartbreak, you'd put on sappy love.
Yeah. Oh my
You,
gosh. Thank you for saying this. Yes.
you
Yeah.
you put on, or for me, like one of the hardest things for me to do was the dispatch call. How do
Hmm.
people sound when they call in a call?
Did you call 911? I'm kidding.
Yeah,
uh,
open when I should have known. I and those apps where you can listen to 911 calls. And I
oh,
just sit one after another, after another, after another until I realized all of them kind of had the same pattern. There's kind of a break in the voice. There's that kind of a stutter typically. And so I was able to get through that scene. So you just try different tools until you find the one that gets you through it.
but
You can put who done thrillers on. You can watch I Survive, anything, and then all of a sudden your mind starts clicking, and you expect it at the worst opportunity. You're going to
yeah,
be at dinner. You're going to be like,
right. You know,
I do
it's
this, and that would solve the whole problem. I text myself then.
okay,
So then I don't lose the thought because you can't always be there to write. So as
right.
soon as that breakthrough hits, text the idea to yourself.
Love it. I do that all the time. That's how I take notes. If I was to meet you in public and I'd be like, need to call Rhonda Parker Taylor, and then you can actually schedule your texts
Right.
now. So be like, so they all show up at like 8 p.m. at night. So I can remind myself of that. So what I'm hearing a lot about, like hearing from a professional like yourself. So if you kind of hit that block, kind of set the tone, set the mood. That's one way you can do it. Or you can move to maybe another chapter where you're having some creativity and do it and then come back to that. Is that what you're
Yes.
saying? Just keep going, is what you're
Just
saying,
keep
right?
going. One page a day,
Okay.
and it's done in a year. That's
100%. Yeah.
one page, double space,
Yeah.
250 words. It's
Okay.
done in a year. Some days you'll get on a roll and you'll do three pages. But if you can at least do one page a day, it's done in a year. There's not very many novels out there that are more than 365 pages.
There's not, and they're saying now that they shouldn't be that long
Yeah,
anymore.
because people their attention span's shorter.
There you go. So
Because we're so into the internet and the quick videos and stuff like that. So they want something quick, easy, and out.
right, 100%. So Do you use, so I use Living Writer. I tried the other ones,
Mm.
Scrivener and stuff like that. I was able to kind of whiteboard and like I'm talking about software. I was just wondering if
Right,
you use software. Like I use Living Writer because I could develop my characters and put them like on like a post-it note, literally on the screen, right? And just be
right.
able to move through my creativity. And again, that's very vulnerable here. Coming out. Do you use anything like any kind of software or anything like that that maybe aspiring writers might lean into?
I used to use a storyboard program where you could do that, but anymore, what I do is I just create a big, large whiteboard, put pictures. I go shopping for their clothes
Dude,
at
I love you.
the house.
Wish I
You
could show you
always
something.
go and
Yeah.
one of the fun things about being an adult is you can go looking at houses and you don't have to buy, right?
Right.
So I'll go I'll look at housing plans so I
Hmm.
know, okay, they had this is a 2-bedroom house. It has an upstairs, downstairs, and I'll just plop the Zilla link somewhere so I know what in what, and then I don't make mistakes because
Yeah.
you're not going to remember every characteristic of your
Yeah.
characters unless you have some way of remembering them.
Remembering
So
it. Yeah.
I same thing. If I've diagnosed them with anxiety, all I got to do is go to the DSM-5 manual and say, okay, the 6 characteristics of someone with anxiety is this, and I know what the 6 characteristics are, and I know how their body's going to function as soon as they get in a room and there's something that's going to give them anxiety.
Right.
Same thing, breathing, like in Crossroads, one of the older guys has emphysema. So they have that labored breath
Yeah.
that you can hear the hissing sound when
Sure.
they're walking. So you can, it's very, and then when you get to where the characters like that, and
Hmm.
you've shopped what they're going to wear, what their style is,
Right.
you don't get the writing block as easy
Yeah.
because you can start describing the room. Same thing with picking locations or homes and stuff like that because oh, they're walking into the kitchen to get a snack,
Yeah.
whatever it might be, and the phone rings. So then you can kind of start describing the room. You might cut part of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like I know I was hungry at one scene because I had the police officer at Golden Corral and I described everything on the buffet. And then I, I'm going back reading. I'm like, why is there 3 to 4 pages of food? Nobody likes food that much.
Right.
so
No, I
so
love this is gold to me. Like with, and I know it is to my listeners too that are aspiring writers as well. Like over here, I can't really turn the camera on, but I have like I have that stuff you can put on the wall that looks like a wall, but you can write on it.
right,
Right. And so I actually, when I get a something, instead of opening up my phone or something, I literally write it there. But I also make sure that it always goes into my living writer before
right,
I go to bed. But that's just as ideas hit. And also I'm hearing like my superpower is curiosity, right?
right.
And that's where I'm really curious. That's what makes me a coach that cares. Um, and so while you're developing these characters, if you come up into maybe a stall on a development on them, if you just get more curious, like you said, go to a house and see how it's laid out or something. Curiosity's got to be huge, which I've never thought of it like this until you just said this. Curiosity is pretty huge when it comes to authoring a book, correct? Especially a fiction slash kind of parable, right?
Yeah, what do you know about your characters? What do you know about their
Or what
lives?
can you know more about?
Yeah, and what do you know more
Right,
about? What do they do in their spare time? What do they
right.
think about in their private thoughts? What do they
Yeah,
verbalize versus do? And like Billy Knuckles, when he's sitting there realizing that he was on a drunken drug stupor the night before that went wrong, and he's sitting there thinking the police are going to show up eventually, and he starts rocking and banging his head against the wall of his
yeah,
bedroom. And then he realizes he's hungry and he goes in there and he's a single man in his own place, has ketchup and beer in his refrigerator with a stale pizza that looks like an experiment.
right.
So we know these people.
Yes. Yeah.
You should know your characters like that.
Love it. Love it. Because I use, okay, so when I go to a networking event, I like to go out, meet people, press flesh, see who I can serve, right?
Right?
And what I was taught when I was younger from my mentor, Sam, is to use the Ford acronym, FORD. And if I'm talking to you, like I'm more interested in knowing your story than telling you mine. Okay, that's just something I've always been, because again, curiosity. But what I started doing with my characters is I used the exact same thing I did in networking. So if I was to meet you, Ford is family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, right?
Mhm.
And it being from the Motor City, Detroit kind of fits, right?
Right.
So if I was to meet you, it's like I'd ask about your family, occupation, recreation, dreams, and immediately I go outside and I write you a thank you note because I'll hopefully get your business card and I'll mail it to you because that's a lost art is a thank you note. And I do that all the time. It sets the stage a lot for coaching clients or referrals. But I'm just thinking now, if you get stuck, dig into the Ford. Like,
Right.
what else don't you know about their family, their
Right.
occupation, their recreation, their dreams, right? I mean,
Right.
dude, you are opening me up so much, Miss Rhonda. Are you kidding me right now?
You
This is
have to
awesome.
look at it that even one sentence
Yeah,
on that one of those areas
yeah,
pulls the audience in to understanding the mindset of the character. It doesn't matter if it's something about the way a family member died or the way they raised them. Like Dave, the Law and Order guy, he's walking and he's had this encounter with a beautiful woman, and he's walking through the Circle City to go back to work, and he stops and he thinks about his grandfather
mm,
and how he used to tell him the importance of law and the Constitution. And the building of the circle was because they wanted to celebrate the history of Indiana
yeah,
Hoosier. Well, what you're doing then is you're telling people about their motivations, their desires, their feelings, their upbringing, and they don't even they realize that this is, like you said, the Ford model, really.
yeah. Love it. That's amazing. So I have to. Have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
Yes.
Okay, it's literally 40 years old now. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like this year,
Right.
1985, it came out, right? So let's get in that DeLorean with Marty McFly.
Right.
Okay. Let's go back to the double deuce, the 22-year-old Rhonda.
Mm.
What would nuggets, we call them here at Time to Shine Today, what kind of knowledge nuggets might you drop on her? Not to change anything. Okay. Let's not change anything but to maybe shorten a learning curve or blast through into something you really wanted a little bit quicker. What might you tell her?
Don't let others dim your light.
Ah, you are my sister from another mister. I swear. It's like I make 2 New Year's resolutions every year. One, make someone smile every single day.
Mm.
Okay. And two, unless I've disrespected you, owe you, judge you, or hurt you, I give zero what's about what you think about me. I don't
How
care. You know,
that you've gotten to that point, because a lot of people, I
ah,
struggle every day. I that's part of my character makeup that I try to avoid is I worry too much about others and trying to make them successful. It's an occupational hazard for me.
yeah.
But
Being in the educator kind of thing kind of comes along with that field, love.
yes, so
Right?
you have to learn, wait a minute. Okay, this is my moment. This is my purpose. This is my time to push myself. It doesn't mean I don't still do that,
Mm-hmm.
because I love developing people.
Me too.
But
Me
it
too.
does
Yeah.
mean that I have to take the time to shine myself also.
I love that. And so, how does Rhonda want her dash remembered? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date. Hopefully, it's way down the road, but your life date and death date. You look at a tombstone, you have the born and died and that little line. How does Rhonda want her dash remembered?
That I lived with compassion and kindness, and that I lived the life that I chose,
Love it.
not the one that somebody else chose. Because so many times we put our purpose and our mindset into what we think others think we should be,
Right.
and we miss our purpose. We're like the Jobs of the world that end up in a whale's stomach, thrown back up where we're supposed to be,
Sure.
because we
That's
don't
Jonah.
have time to
Is that
do the
Jonah or Job?
Jonah.
Oh, Jonah. Yeah. Job's the one that got all the, oh my gosh, that's to worship God after I'm a Christian, okay, and my squad knows it. So, but the still level up and not blame God after
Right.
everything, that's the epitome of just being a human, being a good human. So, how what is your definition, Rhonda, of a life well lived?
A life well lived. It's not materialistic. It's not. It's being intentional. Because what I found
Yes.
in is I can look, and it kind of goes back to those three emotions: anger, fury and envy,
Yeah.
you can get sucked up in thinking, oh, I'm supposed to be doing this and this is what my life's supposed to be. And what ends up happening is I'm not enjoying the skyline. I'm not enjoying the wildlife. I'm not enjoying the walk that I could be doing or opening up the blinds and seeing the sun for the first time of the day.
Yeah.
So a life
This is
well
awesome.
lived is living your life.
Yes. Yes.
Sit in the chair that you designate as the best chair. Eat
Right.
on the plate that you think is your favorite. You
Yes.
know, all the things that bring you joy. I have a couple of items in my, I'll call it my perch, my sitting room, but it's really the front room that overlooks my 3 acres. And I have a couple of things that people would think probably are a little out of place.
Okay.
One, a Christmas glittery candle that's actually not a real candle. It's one that lights up on itself. But every night when I'm sitting there and having that peaceful moment to quietness before I go on to the rest of the day, it's kind of like my transition. As soon as that timer goes off, it shimmers up like snowflakes, and I can sit there and I can focus in on it,
Yeah.
and I can just relax. Like, this is the next step
Yes.
of the day. And same thing, I have a lava lamp.
Me too, dude. You and I swear, lady. This is like I have one as well. I have a lava lamp, and people are like, "What is that?" I'm like, I was born in '72, so my family had like lava lamps everywhere and stuff like that. It's just part of our upbringing. And
Right.
also, it's to me, it sits in my office over here, and it's tranquil for me. So I can
Right.
sometimes just during maybe a meditative state or a prayer state, I can look at that and just kind of go
And like
within a little bit.
mindful,
Yes.
breathe
Yes.
and relax. Cause so many times I don't know about you, but I run around and I'm like, I don't think I've had a breath in like three minutes. So I have to practice the breathing.
Yes.
Make sure that I'm doing what's healthy for me. Stand up. I went through a phase that I still struggle with the fact that I write better when I'm sitting.
Okay.
I don't
Gotcha.
know why,
Okay.
but guess what? That's not good for a back, and it's not good for legs, and it's
At
not good.
extended times, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So one day I went to the back doctor, and he says, "You have piriformis. That's why you're in pain." And I said, "Well, what's that?" And they said, "Well, it's you need to stand more, you need to walk more, you need to do this." So I went and looked it up, and it said butt wasting away. Now tell me who wants to hear that their butt's wasting away. So I realized that I had to get into the mindset that every action I take has to have an intentional of happiness, joy, health, because life's too short.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because a lot of people, like, they'll come to me to kind of get unstuck. I'm a gap coach. You want to get here, you're here. Let's bridge the gap together. And a lot of people link their confidence to their abilities. And when
Mm.
people do that, their imposter syndrome starts to go, I don't know if I'm that good with my abilities. But like you just talked about at length, is that if you link your confidence to your intentions,
Hmm.
right? It's like you pour my whole thing is to pour into people, right?
Right.
And that's the thing. That's my intentions. So I would have like, how am I coaching this billionaire, a 3 comma guy? How is it possible that he has the questions I ask has any resonation, but my intention is to help Chet, right?
Right.
And to help him do that. Or Major League Baseball player I'm blessed to coach, or an actress that I'm blessed to coach, right? And it's like so many people like need to listen to you and live intentional,
It,
right?
it
That's
makes
huge.
it makes not only sense, but it makes you happy.
Happy. Thank you. Right.
You know,
Dopamine dumps, not from a screen, but from your intentions.
yes.
Right.
You say
Love it.
what would I tell the 22-year-old? Don't let people do the dim your light, but also realize that what we're taught as children is IQ is the only way to success.
Mhm.
Now, granted, that's a good basis if you can do math
Right.
and
If you're
reading
going
and
to
all.
work for NASA, then yeah, we want you to have that. Right.
But actually, Daniel Goleman did some great research in the 80s about emotional intelligence, which is your EQ score.
Mm.
And that is your soft skills. If and he found that you're more more successful if you have a high emotional intelligence,
Okay.
which
Your
is people
EQ.
skills. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your interpersonal skills, your intrapersonal skills, your stress management, and your emotional mood.
Gotcha.
But
Love
there's
that.
21 characteristics in all of that.
Yeah.
But those are the four categories. If you can actually have self regard, self awareness, and the ability to express your emotions without some kind of transactional, you're going to do it this way or my way,
Yeah.
you end up in a much better place.
Love it.
And then
So
if
good.
you can do that, you can do the same thing with the people that you're leading.
Right. Wow. And Squad, I know we're going a little bit long, but this is just so good. But we are going to thank our Time to Shine Today podcast varsity squad. We are back. And Miss Rhonda, we're going to meet one day, maybe when I'm in Indy in a couple months, even if it's for a cup of coffee and just rap about life. It would be great. We'll talk about some of these questions 15, 20 minutes. But today you have 5 seconds with no explanations. And I promise they can all be answered that way. You ready to level up?
I'm ready to level up.
Okay, remember, no explanations, just the answer. Okay, because I'm the one that'll give an explanation, everything. So I break the rules all the time. So, all right, Ms. Rhonda, what is the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
If it's meant to be, it's up to me.
Love it. Share one of your personal habits that contribute to your success.
Getting up every day.
That helps. So if you see me kind of walking down the street, man, the Fergie looks like he's in his doldrums a little bit. What book was ever handed to you other than the good book? Okay. What book was handed to you that maybe changed your outlook, changed the trajectory of your thoughts?
Daniel Goleman's Emotional
Yes.
Intelligence.
Okay. Awesome. What's the most commonly used emoji when you text, if any?
Thumbs up.
Okay, great. Nicknames growing up?
Oh, wow. They didn't really give me a lot of nicknames, except for when I went to college, it was Daphne.
Daphne? Okay. Gotcha. Any hidden talent or superpower that you have that nobody knows about well until now?
Probably my empathy.
Love that. Beautiful. Chess, checkers, or Monopoly?
I would like to say chess, but it's really probably checkers.
Me too. Headline for your life.
What was that again?
Headline for your life.
Let your inner beast shine and realize that your passion and purpose is your playlist.
Love it. That's beautiful. Go to ice cream flavor.
Mint chocolate chip.
Me too. Awesome. So there's a sandwich called the Daphne. Build that sandwich for me. What's on that? What are we eating?
Oh my goodness. It's gonna be like a cold cut. It's gonna have the salami,
Ah, my kind of girl right there, man. Good for you.
and it's also gonna have a salad on it because it has to have the lettuce, the tomato,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
pickle, it has to have everything, and it has to have lots of goo.
Love
it has
it.
to have the oil and vinegar and mayonnaise.
Love it.
It has to have everything.
Yeah. As long as there's man candy on there, bacon, also, then we're good to go. I love that. I love it. Favorite charity and or organization you like to give your time and or money to?
Probably the Episcopal Church here in
Good.
Indianapolis.
Great. That's awesome. And last question, what's the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
I think I'm stuck in the 80s.
Me too. I am. So much happened in the 80s, right?
Yeah,
With
a lot of good and a lot of different genres in the 80s.
yeah, thank you.
Go from R&B, you can go to jazz, you can go to blues.
All the invasions
all of them.
from Ireland with U2 and Men at Work and all the different kind of like yes, in one people names like Prince, Michael, like Madonna. It was like all that kind of stuff came out. Whether you're a fan of it or not, that you listen to songs these days, which I don't really too much. Like I might be out with my goddaughter and her friends or something. I hear, I'm like, that hook to that song is something that I grew up with.
Right.
Like you hear it, the beat to it, they're not original anymore. Like that was original. I love it. All right,
yeah.
Miss Rhonda, how can we find you, love?
The easiest way is to go to my website, rhondaparkertaylor.com. It has all my social media on there. It has anything new coming out, doing my blog, etc.
Excellent. I am going to do a 3-book giveaway, print book for Crossroads. The first 3 people that put Daphne in DAP into anything, I don't care if it's Pinterest, I don't care if it's, you text it to 561-440-3830 on Time to Shine Today's Dime. I'm going to mail you out a copy of Crossroads, a suspense novel. And you have a couple other projects I believe you're working on right now, right?
I do. I have, since everybody's out of life balance, especially in our lives today and in Crossroads, I take the characters and I make them case studies, and I have a life balance workbook that's coming out. And then I also have a resilient workbook, because all of my fiction novels are whodunit thrillers. And they survived. Hopefully they all survived.
Hopefully, no spoiler alerts now.
But that one's coming out too, and it's actually the first half of it's education. The second half of it is like a devotional. It brings you your spirituality into it. 31 days of work.
Love it. It's kind of like Proverbs.
Yeah,
that's right. I love it. I love it. Hey, Ms. Rhonda, do me one last solid and leave us, the listeners, with one last knowledge nugget that we can kind of take with us, internalize, and take action on about life.
Make every day great.
I love it. Then squad, I just interviewing another author. Sometimes I don't know which way it's going to go, but this is so fun, and it's a little longer, so thank you for sticking with us. But like Miss Rhonda reminded us that your book is for you. So if there's vulnerability in there, really kind of face that vulnerability. Bring that harmony into your life, because writing can help you explore yourself in a safe and creative environment, she reminded us. And then those 3 parts of anger, which is cruelty, fury, which is overwhelm, and envy, which is rot. Just go back and re-listen to that part, because that's just sitting right at the top of the surface of my mind right now. If you're an aspiring writer and you hit that writer's block, she reminded us to have a place mark on that page. Maybe go to another scene, turn on some music that might mesh with that person. What we talked about with regards to the 4, the family, occupation, recreation, and dream. Get very curious about the characters that you're developing and move forward. Maybe ask more from your characters, have them go a little bit deeper. She reminded us, don't let others dim your light. Okay, be yourself, be authentic. And if it is to be, it's up to me. That's she put that out there. She lives with an intention. She does things for the intention, not the attention. That's what I kind of see with my friend here, Rhonda. And that she's planting trees she's never going to sit in the shade of, because she's dropping knowledge bombs and knowledge nuggets on us that I thought were never going to come up with just an interview with an author. She's so well versed in life. She lives with compassion, kindness, in the life that she chose to live. And that's the kind of people I like to surround myself with. So thank you so much, Rhonda. You level up your health, you level up your wealth. You're absolutely stunning. You've earned your varsity letter here at Time to Shine Today. Thank you so much for coming on. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And everybody, go out there and get it.
Yes, they will. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today, proudly brought to you by Inlet Properties and Investments. If you are a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on the Time to Shine Today podcast, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you'd like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also, there you will see our recommended resources. We hope you will help support our show by supporting them. If you like what you have been listening to, it'd be great if you could give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's your time to shine.